Just a moment. All right. Well, good morning again, everyone. This is Hillary McLean from the Linked Learning Alliance, and I would really like to welcome everyone to this peer learning session on what it takes to create linked learning, highlighting lessons learned from evaluating the approach in practice. As I said, I'm Hillary McLean. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Linked Learning Alliance. I'm happy to moderate today's program. I'm really happy you were able to join us today. We're thrilled to have so many participants from the linked learning field with us. Many of the folks on this call play a direct role already in implementing linked learning. There are others with us today who want to learn more about the possibilities that linked learning holds for improving student achievement and preparing young people for success in college, career, and life. I want to thank the James Irvine Foundation for their support for the research that led to this report, and also for supporting the Linked Learning District Initiative and so many aspects of the linked learning field that we are all continuing to learn about and be excited about, and its potential for improving California's economy and the nation's economy as this approach takes hold across our state and across the country. We have a really fantastic panel of speakers lined up who are going to help us explore the information in this new report. First, I'm really pleased that we're joined by two members of the SRI education team. For the past 7 years, SRI has evaluated implementation of linked learning at 9 California school districts that participated in a linked learning district initiative. And the report that we're going to discuss today is based on the findings. So first, I'd like to introduce Kira Caspray. Can you say hi, Kira?
Hi there.
Good morning, good morning. And then Mia Warner.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Mia. And I also am joined by two colleagues here from the Linked Learning Alliance, Alex Tagavian, Vice President of the Alliance.
Good morning.
And Rebecca Sterling.
Yeah, hi, everyone. This is Rebecca.
And then we're really also very, very excited to have some amazing leaders from the linked learning field who lead the linked learning work at 3 school districts that have participated in the Linked Learning District Initiative. Cindy Bader from Long Beach Unified. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be on the webinar.
Great. And Cindy Brown from Porterville Unified.
Hello. Thank you. I'm also very pleased to be on the webinar.
Good morning. And then Marissa Sarian of Pasadena Unified.
Good morning from Pasadena.
Good morning. Good morning. Now, we have designed this webinar to be interactive, and that can happen in a couple of different ways. A good friend of ours, Bob Tobin from the Williams Group, is part of our team that's provided technical support for this webinar, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about our webinar tools. Bob.
Thank you, Hillary, and good morning, everybody. I'll overview a few features of the webinar platform. As you already know, you must be connected via phone or a computer if you want to speak with us today. So please feel free to connect now or at any point during the session. Your microphone or phone is automatically on mute as we begin the session. You'll hear a little bit more about ways that you can speak into the session in a moment. You'll have a split screen that you should be viewing, and in that split screen you can see the presentation and also use interactive tools that are present in your control panel. There will be points in the session where Hillary will invite you to share a spoken comment. To let us know you'd like to speak at those times, you can raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon. At that point, we'll unmute your phone. When we recognize you, Hillary will call on you. We'll unmute your phone, and then you can lower your hand again by clicking the icon once more. You'll also, just FYI, if your panel should minimize, and your interactive panel should minimize, you can expand them by clicking the red arrow icon. Now, we definitely hope you'll share your thoughts with us as we proceed, either verbally, as I just mentioned, or by asking a question or making a comment using the questions chat area. Simply type your comment in the box and hit send. We'll track and address comments and questions as we move forward at points through the webinar. And then Hillary, the last item I'd like to reinforce is that this event is being recorded in its entirety, and that participants will receive a playback link after the session, and they'll have the opportunity to share that with colleagues.
Great, thank you so much, Bob. And just to underscore Bob's point, we are recording this session. We want to make it available to others who weren't able to join us today, and this recording allows all of us to revisit the program, and then also gives colleagues who could not be with us access to it as well. So as I mentioned earlier, this session is really designed to share some very interesting findings from SRI's research of the district initiative. And they have prepared a new report called What It Takes to Create Linked Learning. And you should have received a version of this report via email in preparation for this webinar. And today we're going to be taking a closer look at the intriguing findings and recommendations that are in this report. And our colleagues from SRI are going to walk us through key strategies for both school districts and pathway leaders that are being used in some districts that have been part of the district initiative to fully realize the linked learning approach. We're going to discuss also some exciting progress in the linked learning field, development of a certification and analytics system. And this is a brand new resource that's coming online that is scalable for the growing linked learning field, both across California and beyond. And we think this is a real game changer. And so we'll be talking about how this resource is going to be accessible to you in the final third of this program. So please stay tuned. Now, some quick background on the work that's led us to this point. As I mentioned, SRI Education is the core evaluation partner of the Linked Learning District Initiative, which again has been supported generously by the James Irvine Foundation. The district initiative was launched in 2009, and the project is focused on establishing systems to support and sustain linked learning pathways in 9 California school districts. The participating districts included rural and urban geographies with high school enrollment ranging from just over 5,000 students in some districts to more than 185,000 students in a district. All of the districts that participated had a high proportion of disadvantaged students. Now, the initiative itself recently concluded its 7th and final year. This does not mean at all that linked learning has ended in these districts. It's very much alive and well in these districts, and they continue to be some of our pioneering districts that we look to for advice and support to help the growing linked learning movement. But the demonstration work has produced invaluable opportunity for the linked learning field to enhance linked learning in practice and learn more about what it takes to make linked learning successful at a systemic level, and to demonstrate the viability of linked learning as a comprehensive approach for high school improvement. So the initiative evaluation shows that we have seen over several years, and the ongoing evaluation of this district initiative has shown us that linked learning does work when students participate in high-quality pathways. SRI's findings have shown us that compared to peers in traditional high school programs, students who participate in linked learning pathways that are certified are less likely to drop out and more likely to graduate. They earn more credits, which is key for on-time graduation. They demonstrate greater academic success, particularly among students who come into linked learning with low prior achievement scores. And they report greater confidence in their life and career skills and say that they're experiencing more rigorous, integrated, and relevant instruction. We think these results hold great promise as the linked learning movement grows across California and the nation, and we really can't stress it enough. Quality matters. Student outcomes are stronger within linked learning systems that are implemented through high-quality pathways. And certification is how we recognize quality. So now with that, let's dig into these findings. So I will turn things now over to Mia from SRI.
Thanks so much, Hillary. And we would also like to acknowledge the James Irvine Foundation for their support of this research. So to develop these key strategies that we'll talk about today, we distilled information from interviews with district and pathway leaders in the 9 participating school districts we've mentioned. All the findings we'll review today are captured in the full report. And our goal was to help districts and schools new to the linked learning approach benefit from the experiences of these early adopters. So as we proceed, my fellow panelists from participating districts will provide some firsthand examples of these strategies in practice. So let's start with strategies for school districts. We've found that optimal realization of the linked learning approach requires the support of a coherent set of school district human resource and student enrollment policies, as well as infrastructure for work-based learning placements. So first, common vision. Educators across the district and at every level must have common vision for linked learning and understand, buy into, and explicitly support implementation. So in particular, it's very helpful if the superintendent, executive cabinet, and school board are both visible and public champions of the effort. Unsurprisingly, we also found that leadership at the district level is critical. So what that means often is a dedicated linked learning director that has high-level, often cabinet-level positional authority, supervisory authority of high school principals, and a support team to help them get things done. Successful districts also often had a cross-district leadership team with representatives of many district offices, including human resources and curriculum and instruction, as well as principals and pathway leads. So I'll turn it over quickly to Cindy Bader to tell us a little bit about how this has worked in Long Beach.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you. So in Long Beach, it really started with the college promise that has college and career for all, and choosing linked learning as the initiative to reach those goals. And so to start with, when we adopted linked learning, we created much what Maya said around a committee. We called it the Expanding Pathways Initiative Committee, which did include all of the level offices of HR, counseling, high school office, Office of Curriculum and Instruction, special ed, and principals. And then there was a subcommittee made up of parents, post-secondary partners, businesses, and teacher leaders. And that was really around developing district-wide systems to support linked learning. Over the years, that moved into where we are now with the same members being part of the linked learning instructional leadership team. And now its focus is really concentrating on increasing the quality pathways at the school site.
Great, thanks so much, Cindy. And Cindy Brown, I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you've tackled leadership in Porterville.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, Porterville is the district that would be considered rural, and so for us, it was very important to get key leaders on board early on, and we began with a vision of college and career readiness for all of our students. Equity and access was extremely important, but what we really found was building that knowledge of these champions, which included our superintendent, board, mayors, city developer, representatives from the community college, and our chairs of advisory board, along with our district central clearinghouse, to have a shared common vision around the goal of building all students and creating a program, or not a program, but a system that we had the vision that was understood. Everyone had a voice and ownership of that vision and was able to carry that message consistently. And so it was about repeatedly communicating what linked learning was and what was our goal. And that was how we early adopted the graduate profile. And it was extremely important to have a document that would be district-wide vetted. And it also included counselors and principals and also not only site but parents and students, so that they would understand what is our shared goal. Served as our compass. And also important in Porterville was building the commitment from our union and our bargaining unit in order to have expectations tied to teacher contract and providing our teachers with stipends and dedicating and developing a very strong pathways department at the district level to provide support through coaching and coordination to our sites, to our business partners, and to really model collaboration. So creating that strong system of pathway support to sustain quality implementation in the linked learning approach.
Thanks so much, Cindy. Those examples of what it looks like on the ground are really helpful. And now I'd like to talk a little bit about human resource policies, which we've touched on, but we found that successful linked learning implementation really requires favorable human resource policies to both recruit and retain pathway teachers and really allow for the development of experienced and collaborative pathway teaching teams. And I'd like to turn it over to Marisa from Pasadena to tell us a little bit about how that worked in her district.
Yes, thank you. So in Pasadena, in addition to working with various schools of education that prepare caring and effective teachers and counselors, our Board of Education implemented a skipping criteria based on the level of training of linked learning teachers. So during the years of teacher layoffs, pathway teachers with over 40 hours of specialized training for linked learning were skipped even if they were lower on the seniority list. So this allowed us to develop more experienced and collaborative teaching teams. And we found that as the number of pathways and the percentage of students in pathways grow, this becomes less of an issue because currently half of our high school teachers are linked learning trained. So this is very important for the beginning of the journey when you're trying to build this new approach to high school education.
Thanks so much. That's really helpful. Let's talk a little bit about continuous improvement. So we found that ideally districts play a role in ensuring the fidelity to the linked learning approach and to support a continuous improvement process for pathways that's valuable to district staff and pathway teachers and doesn't feel like a compliance exercise. So I was hoping that Cindy Bader could tell us a little bit about how they've tackled this in Long Beach.
Sure. So as mentioned earlier around the leadership and the linked learning instructional leadership team, there is also another district level team that's made up of our professional development office, our work-based learning office, and there are coordinators over those things. And additionally, each of our high schools has a pathway coordinator that's in charge of all of the each of the pathways, and then each pathway has a teacher leader. And so we are very entrenched in using the OPTIC tool from ConnectEd for our continuous improvement. And we use it in several ways. The first, we use it as a guide for any new or pathway that's reconfiguring. It really allows the pathways to have a guide, a model of how to set up and make sure that they're developing their pathway with that quality and with fidelity to the linked learning model. Then we also use it as a yearly evaluation, self-evaluation of each of the pathways. So each year they'll do a pathway assessment, and from that assessment they develop their own internal pathway action plan. That the coordinator helps them meet that action plan. Having that action plan also enables us at the district level to take a look at their assessment, take a look at their action plan, and really target what professional development we're going to use for the whole year. What do they need? What do we need to develop? And how do we support them in attaining their goals for their action plan to move them along the OPTIC evaluation of, moving up to model and fidelity.
Great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so let's move on to work-based learning. This is often a big challenge for pathways, and we've found consistently that to provide adequate work-based learning opportunities that are equitably allocated to students, districts really must invest in staff and structures to support work-based learning, so the responsibility is not falling solely on pathway leads and teachers who already have, a full-time job and, might need a little extra support. Marisa, could you tell us give us an example of this from Pasadena?
Yes, thank you. So you have to understand this is the 6th, 7th year in this work, and for the past 2 years we have been so it's been a journey for us, but we are very fortunate to have 2 great partners to help us with work-based learning support. The Pasadena Chamber of Commerce and the Armory Center for the Arts are the external partners who assist us in providing all activities in the work-based learning continuum. including training for and placement in internships. The Chamber has had an amazing influence on the preparation and success of our student interns. Many interns are offered jobs in their pathway-aligned industry because they bring value to our local businesses. So it's very exciting to see this collective ownership of our youth and for our internship program to grow and just double the number. We have doubled the number of students every summer, and for the first time this year, we are also offering fall and spring internships. And even some of our non-pathway students, so we have so many businesses coming to us now asking for interns. You know, we actually placed some of our handful of our non-pathway kids in internships last summer. So all of our, as far as curriculum, all of our pathways use curriculum for college and career readiness. We use Career Pillar or Imago in CTE classes. We also use ECHO lessons, before and after guest speakers, the career exploration visits and job shadows, and while students are enrolled in the internship course, or so we enroll them also in a course while they're in an internship, and the course meets 7 times for an hour and a half each. So it's been a great structure. Students are supported. There's clarity about what they have to do, and the Chamber isn't just saying this, we are supporting PUSD, these are their students, so this is their program. So it's very, very exciting to get to this point. So I wish that for every community.
Thanks so much, Marisa. And you really set up my next point, which is about forming a broad-based coalition. So, you know, we found that a coalition of regional industry partners, civic leaders, Chamber of Commerce, as Marisa just mentioned, mayor, and local post-secondary institutions is critical for developing industry partnerships, supporting work-based learning, and smoothing students' transitions to post-secondary, and also sustaining linked learning. And you know, Marisa already spoke to kind of how critical that's been in Pasadena. And the final district level strategy that I'd like to talk about is attention to equity. So to achieve equitable pathway enrollment, districts must be really intentional about the distribution and location of pathways, as well as the policies and recruitment practices that influence student preferences and access to pathways, you know, within a choice-based system. So I'll turn it back over to Marisa briefly to tell us about how they've done this in Pasadena.
So very briefly, Pasadena is a choice district. This means that parents can apply and be part of a lottery process to have their student enrolled at their school of choice, and not just at the high school level, but at any level. Our linked learning pathways add an additional layer of choice and increase the student's chance of getting into the academy or pathway of choice. For example, if a student wants to go to Pasadena High School, if they apply for a Pasadena High School, they're part of this larger pool of maybe they're competing with 200 other students. But if they choose the Law and Public Service Academy at Pasadena High, they're competing against, you know, smaller pool, but they have to be in the academy if they are accepted. So there's truly a true and valid option. So parents truly have a choice in getting their child to their program of choice.
Great, thanks so much. And Cindy Brown, I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about attention to equity in Porterville.
Sure. Porterville has been very intentional in regards to developing and distributing our pathways across the 5 high schools that we have. We currently have 12 open choice pathways that are offered as options, high school options for all of our 8th grade students. Policies and procedures have been extremely important to develop as well and implement under the direction of our Pathways Office, providing a structure and a calendar of recruitment efforts that our pathways can work within and still be creative, but still follow the parameters of what we've developed as a system. Equitable access is extremely important. It's all interest-based. We do not look at grade history. nor past background of any of our 8th graders. We do have 17 feeder schools that feed into our high schools. So we had to be creative in regards to ensuring that every student was informed of the same and having the same opportunities in regards to all of our recruitment materials, mailings, all calls, visits on the campuses, as well as our recruitment showcase. Our recruitment period, actually, right now, as we speak, we have 900 of our 8th graders in showcase in a local cinema. They're in 5 screening rooms, and they are able to view videos, all 12 videos, as well as hear from Pathway students representing all 12 pathways, explaining and encouraging the students based on the experience that they're having in the pathway currently. So 8th graders are bussed in. They're able to attend the showcase. They're able to also, we offer Friday tours leading up to the application deadline. There's random lottery if there's more applicants and space available. We have one common, simple application shared by all of our pathways that we will open up live tomorrow as a live application doc, as well as we distribute hard copies out to the middle schools. And then there's also parent information sessions too. So equitable access is really just a strong umbrella around all of our work in regards to recruitment.
Thanks so much, Cindy. And I think, as you can all tell, equity doesn't just happen. It requires a lot of attention to detail. So it's really helpful to hear those examples. And I'll turn it back over to Hillary now to lead this discussion.
Great, thanks, Mia, and thanks to all of our panelists who've shared those strategies so far. I love this image Cindy just shared of the thousands of students in this showcase. I've been to that showcase, and it is an incredibly powerful opportunity for young people to learn about the various choices that they can access in Porterville, and a really fun way to see the students teaching other students about the pathway choices that they have. And thanks to Mia for sharing those key strategies for districts, and again, all the illustrations that the district leaders shared. We're going to pause for a minute and give our folks who are on the phone some opportunities to discuss thoughts or questions that they have so far. We actually have one question that has popped up so far, and the question I think is directed for you, Marissa, which is, you mentioned several partners that help you with the work-based learning. One was the Chamber, but there was another partner that you highlighted. Who was that?
It's the Armory Center for the Arts. So they are the premier organization in our community that is about arts education. So we have 3 of our pathways are arts focused. So the Armory was the natural fit because they already have a lot of partnerships with teaching artists, with the arts community, all the museums in Pasadena. So we, as part of our many grants, we've partnered with them with the expectation for the commitment to continue beyond the grant fund.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll just add that a student who had participated in work-based learning in Pasadena actually got the very first Linked Learning Scholarship last spring and was eligible because he was in a Linked Learning pathway, had participated in a work-based learning experience. And so that is one of the benefits that districts that are registered on the Linked Learning certification system, that we'll talk about it in a little bit, are eligible to make available to their students. So now I'd just like to open it up. Within the district strategies we've talked about so far, what resonates with you? Is there anything that you've heard that surprises you, or have questions been piqued? So you can raise your hand to speak and we'll open your mic, or you can share a question using our chat panel. We'll just pause for a minute. I see a question that came in, and I think this could actually go to any one of the 3 of our district leaders. How did you address reluctance on part of Chamber partners to accept interns due to liability or other concerns? That's a question we get a lot. Cindy or Marissa, any of you want to tackle that one?
Well, what we do here in Porterville is that if an opportunity presents itself by a business partner, let's say, then what we do is we send out internship flyers, to all the sites in regards to the relationship of the career theme to the respective pathway that the students are a part of. When a student is matched up with an intern, we have a consistent plan and an agreement that was vetted through our legal counsel here at Porterville Unified School District, that the student and the employer or the supervisor, internship supervisor, would sign off on. So we carry the liability for that. There hasn't been a problem with our chamber, especially since we drew up that document very early on and have continued to use it.
So
in Long Beach,
Pasadena, go ahead, Cindy. Go ahead.
Well, in Long Beach, we have the similar contract that's been vetted through legal counsel that we use. There's different various, if it is an unpaid internship, then we do, our district covers the liability. If it is a paid internship, then of course they're covered through workman's comp, through the business itself. In some cases, we also use our Workforce Investment Board or Pacific Gateway, and sometimes the funding comes through them, and then they carry the liability. So those are sort of the three primary ways that we deal with that.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead, Cindy.
So we also have a board resolution that passed in 2010 with identifying that students who are participating in work-based learning will be covered by the district's workers' compensation program, and I can send a copy of this to anyone who wants to see it.
Fantastic. Those are a lot of great ways that districts are tackling the challenges that sometimes have arisen, either perceived or real, to students accessing work-based learning. I'm going to call on my colleague Rebecca Sterling to also share one other resource that exists for the linked learning field to support the students getting work-based learning experiences. Rebecca, can you share a little bit about that resource?
Yes, absolutely. So the resource and web-based platform that Hillary is referring to is Launchpath, which is a work-based learning brokering platform that the Linked Learning Alliance developed in partnership with the Foundation for California Community Colleges. So it is available to all Linked Learning K-12 districts as well as community college students. And what the platform supports facilitating is work-based learning experiences, including internships, but also some of those earlier or lighter touch work-based learning opportunities such as guest speakers, worksite tours, job shadows that help kind of build a student's experience and readiness to fulfill an internship. One component of Launchpath that's worth noting because of this liability conversation is that we have built in the ability to offer back office services for any employers who are interested. It's through a feature that the foundation offers, and there is some kind of offline conversation that we have to have for all businesses that are interested, but it is a service and a feature that's available through Launchpath.
Right. So the HR insurance services can be easily managed through this resource. So I just wanted to raise that. I see another question that came in through our chat. The question is, how do you coordinate other district initiatives like AVID, IB, AP, et cetera, with linked learning? And that's a fantastic question. Let's see, I think I'll start with Cindy Brown, because I think you all have some rich responses on that. Cindy Brown, why don't you share what Porterville does to integrate linked learning with other initiatives that support a high achievement of students?
Okay, well, with all of our pathways, we do use the AVID strategies. So that one is kind of answered right there with student enrolling. They will receive that college prep and all the valuable tools that AVID provides. In regards to scheduling courses for the students, we try to ensure that every student has what we call as an individualized student plan, and which would challenge the student but not set them up for failure. We do have some of our AP courses are Pathway Pure, And then there are some AP courses that are offered to other students. We ensure that any student, if they do want to take a high-level course, such as an AP course, it can fit in their schedule. We did move, and this was a policy very early on in our inception of Link Learning going district-wide with implementation, was moved from a 6 to 7 period day for the purpose of being able to fit in more classes in the student schedule to be prepared with college prep courses, as well as ensure that they had a CTE course every year. So we're just real creative with our student schedules.
Thank you. And Cindy Bader and Marissa, how have your districts handled incorporating AVID, AP, or International Baccalaureate programs with your Link Learning Pathways?
So I'm not sure, I don't think we talked about principal leadership, but principals play a critical role, especially in having a more aligned approach to all of the programs on their campus. So we have at Blair High School, we do have an IB program, and we also have a Health Careers Academy. So sometimes in years past, we've had the two programs competing for students, so we are looking for ways to include some IB courses in the Health Careers Academy so that students can be part of both programs. We also have a dual immersion program at Blair. As far as AP courses, we closely monitor the percentage of students in our pathways who enroll in AP, so we constantly have to have this equity lens to make sure that all of our students have access. And I am myself and our pathways team is intimately involved in the master scheduling process. But again, you really have to look at your principal leadership and how they are leading. Your master schedule and your offerings reflect the values of your campus, so that's a critical component.
Great. Cindy Bader, anything else to add on this topic?
No, I think much of what Marissa and Cindy Brown have shared is exactly what we're doing. We're also looking through our AP offerings and the different AP courses and really helping to align, if you're in this pathway, then this AP, each pathway begin to offer APs that are aligned to their pathways. So we're trying to, make sure that all students in all pathways have access to APs, and then also, as Cindy Brown mentioned, in some cases having them be pure, but then also have them be strategic. If you're going to take an AP, have it be strategic to your pathway.
That is so great. Thank you. And I think the bottom line is Link Learning and courses like in AVID, AP, International Baccalaureate are not mutually exclusive. They absolutely can complement and benefit students in pathways. So we had one question that came up about asking, let's see, for documents that were referenced by Marissa and Cindy, so we'll absolutely follow up after the webinar to get those. And there's one more question here that came up, let's see, from Annette Gregoire, Coordinator of Instruction at CSULA. She said, how teachers that are trained and certified in Link Learning Pathways, are the districts hiring teachers, or how are they being trained and certified in Link Learning Pathways in both Pasadena and Porterville? Does Porterville have a teacher incentive like the skipping policy that was referenced in Pasadena?
Yes,
so
Porterville does have. Yes, Porterville does have the skipping policy. Priority is for not only our pathway teachers, but dual immersion teachers, and for the purpose of there's expectations for our pathway teachers that they do more work. They have to go through more professional development trainings, and they are expected to meet in common planning periods or meeting time with core and CT teachers and assigned counselors on a regular basis. And so there is a skipping policy plus stipends, like I had mentioned, for all of our pathway teachers, and an additional stipend bonus for our pathway leads. And so that is in place in Porterville.
Thank you. And
I wanted to add.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So Annette, with Cal State LA, we are working with Dr. Cheryl Ney. We actually participated in a grant for a career pathway teacher development grant, and we are actually going to be, hopefully we will receive the grant, but we will be placing student teachers with our certified pathways so that the teacher preparation actually involves some of our campuses, and hopefully that will increase our chances of getting some of these highly qualified teachers.
I could mention too, just segue from Marissa's in regards to preparing new teachers that are interested in getting a credential. We're working with Fresno State University in the South Valley program, and we actually have a satellite on our Pathway campus that we're building teachers through the lens. The credential is a traditional credentialing cohort, 2 semesters long for students. Fresno State coming to our campus with adjunct professors, learning about credential, teaching, curriculum through the lens of linked learning. So like I said, those are taught on our campus here, and then those candidates are student teachers to master teachers that are pathway teachers. So they're really experienced linked learning in action.
Thank you so much. We're going to have one last question. I'm going to aim it at Cindy Bader because it's a Long Beach specific question, and the question is, Cindy, have you investigated the International Baccalaureate CTE certificate at Blair High School or any other campus in Long Beach?
Okay, so Blair is in Pasadena.
Oh,
so just want to make sure you're.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure you're asking the right person to the question.
Yes, I appreciate that. Redirecting, Marissa. Have you guys investigated the International Baccalaureate CTE program certificate?
Yes, that's exactly how we are aligning both programs. So looking at those certificates and including the IB courses in the course of study for the Health Careers Academy.
Fantastic, thank you. And Marissa, you set us up so well a few minutes ago for our next phase of this webinar, which is to focus on district-level strategies. This exchange was really wonderful. We appreciate all the questions that we got, and we'll pause again for questions a little bit later in the webinar. But now let's turn back to SRI to review the next set of strategies, focused again at the pathway level. So Kira, can you walk us through?
Great, yes, thank you, Hillary. So in addition to supportive district systems, linked learning depends on strong implementation at the school and pathway levels. Across the 9 demonstration districts, principals and pathway leads identified key strategies for pathway implementation. And as Hillary mentioned, we just actually started to touch on many of these in the discussion we just had. So the first one I want to talk about is a collaborative team of teachers. I do not know how to advance these. Thank you. Okay. So pathways must have an engaged team of teachers come together as a community of practice to develop integrated curriculum, deliver high-quality instruction, and support students. Cindy is going to talk to us a little bit about how Porterville develops and supports linked learning teachers.
Okay, so strong community practice is extremely important, and that's the hub to, the connection between the student and business partners. So it has to be really high functioning. Your community of practice, as they regularly assess students' progress towards meeting pathway student learning outcomes. It's a matter of ensuring that there are the lead teachers, the core teachers, CTE, blending their conversations, the counselors, having the counselor on board for those common planning meetings and collaborations, and extremely important to have the site leader on board in order to support that environment of collaboration and ensure that there's a broad spectrum of support for linked learning success at the site level. Distributed leadership model is something that we have applied and embedded within our community of practice. So we do have common agendas. Like I said, we have assigned pathway coaches that attend those meetings as well to ensure that they can keep the norms and the standards for meetings so it is be productive along the way as students are discussing and taking on leadership roles. So there is a lead for each one of our pathways, but within the distributive leadership model, we encourage other teachers and other representatives that are meeting together that they take on leadership roles. There may be a teacher on the team that really enjoys data analysis and pulling data and discussing it. So that person would be the lead data support. We also have work-based learning representatives, teachers that take on that responsibility. We have teachers that take on mentoring, student intervention strategies and support, and teachers that take on recruitment, and as well as instruction and curriculum. So those are just a few ways that we encourage our teachers to become leads and participate. Another strategy is that we encourage many of our teachers, lead or not, all of our leads have participated in the Connected Coaches training, but we also encourage teachers that are not they're not named as leads, that they are also participating in the coaches training. So we're just trying to build more leaders and encourage this cross-pathway sharing of best practices across the high schools among all of our teachers, and providing them a regular professional development opportunities so that they can find out what is going on and the other pathways within Porterville District.
So the next strategy I want to talk about is principal leadership, and that keeps coming up in the conversation we had about coordination with other programs within the district and at high schools, and also, as Cindy was talking about, the importance of community of practice. So school leader investment in linked learning is really essential because pathways require active principal leadership and support. Districts need to get principals on board early, support them in implementation through coaching and technical assistance, and hold them accountable. And I just wanted to elaborate that one of the consistent findings from our formative evaluation was that linked learning directors found it easier to be effective when they had line authority over high school principals. On the other hand, in districts where they did not, getting all the principals of comprehensive high schools to embrace the full linked learning vision was challenging. Marissa, could you talk a little bit about how you fostered principal leadership in Pasadena?
Yes, of course. So we were part of a Connected grant last year, and as part of the grant, our site principals and pathway support team were part of a committee of practice, and we came together 10 times throughout the year to examine what it takes to be a linked learning principal and the essential elements of effective linked learning pathways. This surfaced leadership's views and commitments to this approach, and also the unique challenges in our various high school campuses. So although the grant was for 1 year and the coaching was for 1 year, this group continues to meet and share best practices and to surface challenges. So I started in my role not supervising the principals, and this is, for the past 2 years I have been supervising the principals, but I tend to be, my leadership style is more of a coaching approach. I'm not sure. I hope, it's had a positive impact. I understand your research about, I think it's easier for me to do the goal setting and to have this more aligned approach to high school education, and for people not to feel so disjointed, and for linked learning not to be just a program or an added-on responsibility. So I do supervise the principals, and it makes for a more seamless approach. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, Cindy, could you talk a little bit about Porterville's experience in terms of cultural leadership?
Sure, yeah. We began leadership coaching 5 years ago. We actually have a leadership coach contract with Portable Unified, working with not only our principals, but also assistant principals. We see a direct correlation to teacher performance, which points to student achievement when we have strong principals that believe in the linked learning goals. They see the implementation as part of their goal, and they are supportive along the way for our teacher teams. We actually we do use the behaviors of learning and teaching that we have learned from ConnectEd, and we've crosswalked those behaviors of learning and teaching with our graduate outcomes, which are district goals. And so we not only have our coach work individually with our administrators to develop their characteristics of being credible and charismatic, and actually lead from just being instructional driven or management competent, but to instructional trust, trying to build the trust and the relationship of the principals, administration with the teachers really needs to happen, that there's non-threatening, non-evaluative, daily or weekly walkthroughs in the classroom. Our principals have become a cohort, so they're sharing ideas. They're not in a silo by themselves leading a school. They're actually working in a community of practice with the principals and administrators from the other campuses and solving problems and having honest feedback and conversations around capacity building and trust building and time management, which are huge on the plates for our leaders. So it's been really critical to the growth of principal leadership to ensure that the superintendent and the assistant superintendent and myself are involved from the onset of their work and ensuring that that support is uniform across the district.
Great, thank you. I wanted to talk next about the importance of master schedules, and this has come up, I think it was Marissa who described master schedules as a reflection of the school's values. And the importance of master schedule also underscores the importance of principal leadership, since principals direct the priorities that shape those schedules. And these are critical because the master schedule, linked learning really requires a master schedule that supports regular collaborative planning time for pathway staff, as Cindy mentioned, and pure cohorts of students that spend all or almost all of their school day moving through pathway classes together. So Cindy, can you talk a little bit about how you've made the master schedules work with your comprehensive high schools?
Sure. So, and I'm going to start off by saying this is a very difficult task in a large comprehensive school. It is not something that happens overnight. It is, for us, it is still a work in progress where we've had a lot of success, and we're still working on it. It's not, when you start off a school, if a small school or opening school, you get to start. But much to what Marissa talked about, school leadership and the importance, is really around the culture and the principal leading the counselors who do the programming of each of the students. So we've actually set up a sort of a goals for each of our pathways, or each of our schools rather, to really work toward. So it just doesn't happen overnight. So this sort of, how do you get more and more students cohorted and more master schedule, if you wouldn't use the word pure. So we've established a sort of developing and approaching, using the ConnectEd certification, meeting and advancing, excelling and sustaining, where at least 4 to 5 classes of students are pure in their pathway. We've also looked at, again, aligning some of where we align the AP classes, looking at the history and the different offerings, having those offerings fit into the pathway. We have a 6-period day, and so that is very difficult at times. So some of the pathways have sort of changed the order around of when they offer what graduation requirements. And I just lost my train of thought on one thing. Oh, we do make sure that all of the teams meet regularly, at least once to twice a month, plus trying to schedule them into a shared conference period. This year, we're actually moving into giving schools the choice of going to an 8-period day so that they can fit more of the pathway courses and also to help reach those pathway purity. It is a work in progress.
Great, thank you.
But I really want to underscore the cultural impact and really the principal leading and how important the principal being on board, who then helps the counselors understand the programming of the students so that the students are programmed into the courses aligned to their pathway. And that's really a culture shift for a lot of the big comprehensives, and that takes time. And then we have also have had a lot of master schedule training for not only our counselors, but our pathway coordinators, AP coordinators. They're all involved in the master schedule building.
Okay. I wanted to talk next about support for pathway leads. One of the things that did emerge from our evaluation is that being a pathway lead teacher is a big job. And some of the strategies that districts use to help make that position sustainable, one is just giving additional release time, making sure they have time to take on those additional responsibilities, but also providing administrative support. So there are some things that you don't need a teacher to do and that you could have get support for things like reporting or logistics. And then Cindy had also talked about the distributed leadership model in Porterville to try to take some of that burden off of one person. But I wanted to ask you, Marissa, to talk a little bit about how you've provided structures and supports for pathway leads in Pasadena.
So this is, a pathway lead teacher is also another critical person. As you mentioned, they should have the time and space to do this important work, which means an extra prep or a stipend for them to stay beyond their teaching day. The College and Career Office leadership and staff in our district meet with the lead teachers once a month to provide technical support, as you mentioned, completing CPA reports or any other types of reports, instructional support with integrated projects or any other issues, but most importantly, facilitation training. So our leading a teacher group is not part of a skill set of a teacher, so it's not something that comes naturally to many of them. So we actually have had great success when we've brought in extensive training for facilitative leadership and, to help them understand when do you decide and announce something. Everybody says that, how do you work on the spectrum of, how much do people want ownership of the decision and how to facilitate consensus, in a group. So that's been very beneficial for our lead teachers. Next semester, we're hoping to actually push into the high schools and actually meet with the administrative staff and leads on each campus so that it's more of a differentiated type of support for each campus. Because we are a small district, we can do that.
Thank you for mentioning that focus on facilitation. I think that's very useful. So the final strategy I wanted to mention is pathway level advisory boards. And these boards working alongside pathway leads and staff, teachers, pathway teachers, are essential in helping to develop curriculum, assess student performance, and identify work-based learning opportunities. So Cindy's going to tell us a little bit about Porterville's experience with pathway advisory boards.
Okay, we have found that advisory boards are an essential element for all of our pathways. So with our 12 open choice pathways, they obviously have operational advisory boards comprised primarily of business partners that meet monthly. And if there are subcommittees, they'll meet even more often, but as they so choose. And we have formed these advisory boards and provide support on a very consistent manner. Again, it's equitable, and there are common practices that we have ensured that take place, like common agendas, common bylaws, a common rubric of high-quality advisory board. Even our emerging academies, one of the first things they do as they form their design team of teachers is forming an advisory board in order to begin the conversations around curriculum and how they can be engaged and be a part to connect and make the lessons come to life with authenticity that our experts, our advisory board members can bring. We always have a work-based learning coordinator that is from our pathway department at the district level, attending every advisory board to ensure that the roles are well defined for our business partners, that they stay on task. And we also ensure that the principal and administrator is attending every advisory board, because our professional partners see that principal as the CEO of that organization. And you need to have that CEO at every meeting, and the principal serves as that liaison to the conversations that are taking place in the advisory board with the business partners around developing and enhancing instruction and curriculum, the program of study, and with a strong focus on preparing students across school years with work-based learning opportunities and engagement. So the principal serves as that liaison to carry that message to the teacher teams and ensure that there is a strong connection with real world and the advisory board's engagement in the classroom. So training those teachers how to connect and work with industry partners can be a daunting task. So that's a big role that our principals work with our work-based learning coordinators to help those teachers engage more and network with the business partners and how to bring and connect those lessons with their expertise.
Thank you so much, Cindy, and all of our district leaders, and as well as Kira for sharing those strategies that are specific for the linked learning pathways. As you can probably get a sense that the district level strategies and the pathway strategies are really interlocked and symbiotic for real systemic implementation and high quality implementation of linked learning. So now that we've walked through all the strategies, we're going to take again a brief pause, real quick pause, to see if we have questions, and then we'll move on to the third part of our webinar. But let's see, the question came in over our chat, which is, Cindy Brown, what do business partners see as their return on investment by serving on an advisory board? Have you gotten feedback from them on that role?
Yes, a lot of the same answers come up in regards to just bringing, building the students up to a level where they would actually, they being the business partner, would hire the students. So really increasing the vitality and prosperity of our community. We certainly don't want students to have to, stay in Porterville right after graduation. If they so choose, they can, and at least we're building them with the skills. But if they so choose to go away to college, and it is just a matter of, we are a part, and the business partners are part of building, citizens and leaders and committed members of society that can carry on and be really strong in that related career field.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Well, we'll have more chance at the end of the webinar for additional questions if we have any more from our participants. But we have another important topic to cover, and that is, how is the linked learning field developing systems that help support that high quality implementation, those very strategies that we just heard discussed by our district leaders and by SRI. So we're going to talk about this next dimension, supporting high quality linked learning implementation with certification and analytics designed for the linked learning field. So now I'm going to pass things over to Rebecca and Alex from the Linked Learning Alliance, who are going to talk about work that's underway.
Yeah, thank you, Hillary. This is Alex Tagavian, and hello again, everybody. We wanted to share with you what has been now a year-plus effort to build out resources and platforms to help drive scale, quality, reach, and impact for linked learning pathways and students. And what we're going to quickly walk you through are two discrete technology platforms that will be integrated in the future, but are very much designed for practitioners of linked learning to help make quality improvements and move up a staircase of better and better student experiences that lead to their college and career readiness. So we're calling these tools linked learning certification and linked learning analytics. Our principal focus in our design is that, as we know, students have higher rates of engagement and graduation when they go through a high-quality linked learning pathway as compared to a traditional high school experience. And just in this past 18 months or 2 years, we know that there has been a massive increase in the number of pathways coming online and growing in California to the tune of 3,000 or approximately almost 500,000 students who are in some form of a career pathway experience. So while we're very excited to see this growth occurring in our state and nationally, there's a lot of work to be done. And part of that has to do with the unevenness of how pathways are being designed and offered to our students. And we want to make sure that the impact, access, and the quality is optimized for all kids, and that we can help our practitioners and partners make rapid improvements to those pathways as we move forward. So that is our North Star, to make sure that as many students as possible are prepared to succeed when they move on to a post-secondary experience and then into gainful employment thereafter. So we have been thinking a lot about how to define a clear standard of excellence, and we've had the great benefit of doing this with top-performing district leaders, researchers, and a wide array of partners, many of whom are on the phone, but others who have been helping us think about creating a new set of next-generation linked learning standards that are the essence, the content within these technology platforms that we're about to describe. So we're going to start with our linked learning certification, which is a new online certification platform that is built to encourage collaboration, data tracking, and reflection. So I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Rebecca Sterling, to do a quick walkthrough for you.
Yeah, and just so one of the things that we've been talking about today is we've been hearing from a number of different districts about the way that they're implementing some of these practices and the way that they're achieving really high-quality experiences for their students. And so we took that as one of the focal points of this certification, is that it needed to be flexible, it needed to acknowledge all of the unique practices. So that's one piece. The second that came out of those groups that have been coming together is that they're, regardless of that flexibility, that needs to be focused in 3 kind of core pillars that make up a linked learning experience. And those 3, you can see on your screen, are an integrated program of study, kind of aligning and integrating rigorous academics and a sequence of career technical or career-themed education, work-based learning opportunities, and student support. We also know that in order to discover what's really working, there needs to be this cohesion across the district. At the organizing and leadership level, you need to be able to look within each of your schools and pathways and see which are still struggling a little bit, which are not achieving one of those core pillars, and then see also where are your successes. So we've also taken a focus that this certification needs to be applicable for the pathway level, but also needs to support the district in their overarching goals. And then beyond supporting the specific practices, we also have acknowledged that there needs to be some kind of opportunities that come with the validation. So after a pathway is achieving certification, there needs to be some kind of output or positive benefits that are coming for both the student and the pathway staff that are really putting in a lot of effort and time to realize these positive outcomes. And so we've broken this down in a couple of ways. We've looked at this as both opportunities and validation and benefits that will go for the pathway itself, whether that's district or pathway staff, and then also benefits for the specific students. And so some tangible examples of what that looks like. I know Hillary was mentioning earlier the student from Pasadena High School that received the Linked Learning Scholarship last year. We're making linked learning scholarships available to students that are coming out of or going through certified linked learning pathways. We're also looking at some kind of accelerated opportunities or streamlined transitions for linked learning graduates that are coming out of linked learning certified pathways and going on to transition into some post-secondary experience or career employment. And so what that looks like is partnering with some businesses and employers to offer some kind of preferential hiring, whether that could look like, for some businesses, that'll be a guaranteed interview. For some, it might be a higher starting salary, but there will be kind of tangible employment benefits. And similarly, on the post-secondary side, you can imagine that some post-secondary institutions will be kind of streamlining the remediation process or entrance exam process for students that are coming out of these certified pathways that have demonstrated that their students are going through experiences that integrate all of those core pillars and really uniquely prepare them for success. So to get into a little bit of the tangibles, I want to give you guys a sneak preview of what the platform is actually going to look like and what the experience will really be as you log in. So the first step will be creating your pathway profile. You'll have a page where you're able to kind of write the name of your pathway, what industry sectors it aligns with, and then go on through a few other basic questions that kind of give the overview of what your pathway looks like. From there, you'll be able to actually input some specific information about your pathway to track and log your pathway's progress over time, whether your pathway is already meeting and excelling in some of those core pillars, and then kind of see the standards that you're needing to achieve in order to get to the next level of certification. And then after going through that kind of initial pathway profile build out and some of that tracking, you'll also be able to reflect and improve based on what you see in your pathway. So the platform will be giving back to you information based on what you've input, and you'll be able to see what standards you're meeting and what work is left to be done. So here's a little example of what that will look like as you're in the profile. So here you can see that you've reached that candidate level of certification, but in order to get to the next level, linked learning certification, you'll have to have met a series of additional standards within both integrated program of study, work-based learning, and student support. And you can see this visual is intended to really demonstrate to you in a really clear way which of those you're achieving and which you're still working on. You can see the shaded color a little bit. That's to demonstrate some of the what we're calling extra credit or recommended standards and criteria. Those are helping to signal to your pathway and to your pathway team what standards you could be working on if you're going to be pursuing the next level of certification. They're trying to give you a little bit of a hint of what's next, what's to come, and also validate and recognize you for some of the work you might be doing that's really above and beyond what the baseline expectation is for that level of certification. So as we alluded, this is a tiered approach. So there are multiple levels of certification that we'll be coming out with. The candidate level is demonstrating that a pathway has the basic levels that build towards a college and career preparation opportunity. But at that certified level, it's where you've really demonstrated that you have a strong integration of all of the core components of a linked learning pathway, and that your students are really benefiting from that experience. And then at that advanced level, that's really going above and beyond and completing those extra credit and recommended practices. And then this is just the beginning. So we're coming out right now with the pathway level certification, but we anticipate this will be an ecosystem certification. So there will be opportunities to have a student level credential, so to really certify students within the pathway, but also to kind of go beyond and have the platform benefit to the district, region, to our higher ed partners and employer partners. And we just dove into one side of the platform, so I'll go kind of quickly through the other, but on the analytics side of the platform, this is what we envision will really be powering the back end and really supporting pathways as they're advancing and pursuing higher levels of certification. But right now, both parts of the platform are being released to the field, and a pathway and district can adopt linked learning analytics right now. And some of the key features that are in the analytics side are listed on your page, but the analytics will help a pathway make the case for what is working. It'll help you identify what areas of your practice are really working. You'll be able to identify some of your work-based learning outcomes and also track how many of your students are able to access and experience that work-based learning continuum. We'll be demonstrating the college and career readiness indicators, supporting managing the transition from secondary to post-secondary experiences, and actually bringing out reports based on how many of your students are transitioning. So we're pursuing partnerships with the California community colleges and potentially other community colleges, the CSU and other systems in California. We are aligning with reporting and accountability systems, and finally pursuing the integration with the linked learning certification. And we've pulled a couple of samples just to give you an idea of the types of reports and the types of analyses that districts and pathways will be able to do through linked learning analytics. Here on these report cards, you can see that you'd be able to pull apart your secondary success and your post-secondary readiness, and then break down those reports based on the demographics that you are specifically interested, whether that's between different pathways within your district, between pathway and non-pathway students, or really drill into the specific demographics within one pathway. And here you can see a sample of what that district dashboard would look like, particularly when integrated with the linked learning certification. You could drill into all of your certified pathways and then look across those, and then also drill into one specific pathway that's at the certified level and really see what was it that helped them achieve that level of certification, and what practices could you pull and look to sharing across. Like I mentioned, the linked learning analytics is already available to districts. We're already onboarding districts and producing kind of those first iterations of dashboards back. The certification platform is available for initial registrations, but pathways will be able to pursue those higher levels of certification, the candidate and linked learning certified levels, come the release at this year's linked learning convention in Oakland in January. Yeah, thank you very much. My contact information was at the bottom in case anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much, Rebecca and Alex. So now let's pause again and open up the floor to get comments on everything we've heard today, both the practice and then these platforms to support great practice. What are your questions and thoughts about implementing high-quality pathways? How can you see certification supporting implementation of these strategies? And how might you use data to pursue and improve the practices in your district or at your pathway? Or what part of the program what part of the elements that we've talked about in this program would you like to know more about? So you can send us questions via chat, or again, you can raise your hand digitally and we can open up your mic and bring it to the conversation.
Well, this is Cindy in Portable. I'm just pleased to see that there's a comprehensive tool and a data dashboard system, developed by the Linked Learning Alliance. Fostering that culture of continuous cycle of improvement is extremely important, and data is at the heart of the work that we do. So we need to continuously look at data, and that will drive us to improve our system on a regular basis. So I really do appreciate what stood out for me also, the focus on incentivizing linked learning for our students, and then being able to possibly track the transition from secondary to post-secondary will be very helpful as well and valuable. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. And I want to give compliments to the district leaders and to SRI because their input has actually been invaluable in the development of the certification system and the analytics systems. So I want to thank Cindy, and Marissa for giving us that input as well as sharing their expertise on this call. I think I might have heard another voice chiming in. Any of our panelists want to make a comment while we're checking to see if any questions are brought forth through our chat?
I want to really, the dashboard, I really appreciate it. I want to echo what Cindy Brown said. Having that data dashboard and being able to put it into the hands of the teachers for them to actually be, lifetime or close to lifetime, really being able to not have data be someplace that the district or somebody has to give them, but that they have access to the data that can actually, inform their own practices, I think is just invaluable for helping the pathways really take a look at themselves, their pathways, but even more importantly, their student and the student success through their programs. So I really appreciate that piece.
Thanks, Cindy. And on the issue of data, we got a question about data inputs and how complicated or easy might this be? So I'm going to kick it over to Rebecca to tackle that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was kind of explaining the process and the timeline that we're on, we have executed our kind of first round of data sharing agreements and have onboarded close to a dozen districts with the first round of the dashboard that we'll be releasing back to them, and are actually convening a group of, as we're calling them, data trailblazers who are working with us to identify some of these key challenges that they're looking to overcome, some of the key performance indicators that they're really interested in being able to dive into and discover through their dashboards. So we're in the process of taking some of that feedback and making sure that we're addressing it and continuing to build out the features that the analytics will incorporate. So this is going to be an ongoing process over the next various months to continue to build it out. And I know there was part of the specific question was around kind of how we might be able to have inputs from the linked learning analytics with Connect as optic system. That's one question that we've been receiving from a number of different partners and are really wanting to explore. It will be critical that we have partners who have been using that system work with us in exploring how we're going to implement that. So that's to come over the next few months, but we'll be looking for input from all of our field partners.
Thanks, Rebecca. There was also a question we got, it was policy related, around the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing and what work that they are doing to make it easier for teachers to get a CTE credential. This is a challenge, I think, that a lot of districts, including the districts on this call, have experienced finding teachers that have both the academic and the CTE credential to teach the integrated courses. I will share that we as the field expect this to be an important topic of conversation at the Commission on Teacher Credentialing in the year ahead. We're also going to be talking about this in some of the policy strand sessions at the Linked Learning Convention, and I think getting the input from field leaders like those on our panel, but also those that are participating on this webinar, about the real-world challenges that you are experiencing in making these pathways, high-quality pathways, available to students and the types of opportunities that you want to offer to them, and that can be addressed through better policies adopted by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing or another policy venue. And we want to keep working with you, those folks in the field, to really get at that. So I'm kind of punting on the question just to say that we're going to keep talking about it at the convention. I hope you'll come, join those sessions, and we are going to, as a field, figure out some of these ways to address it and try to flex both the policy rationale and, if we have to, the political muscle to get it done. And I see someone saying they're coming, and that makes me really, really happy. Just checking again if there are any other questions through our chat. Well, since we're about time, I really just want to say thank you so much to all of the participants who have been with us throughout this webinar, for your time, for your engagement in this the session. Of course, I want to really say thank you to our panelists for lending their perspective and sharing their expertise. Now, just before we end, I want to cover the resources and next steps. As a final reminder, we have recorded this webinar, and we will provide a link to it in a follow-up email, so you are able to review any parts of it or share it with colleagues. We also will include in that email links to some other resources. The Linked Learning Convention links on the Linked Learning Alliance website, so you can register today to go to the convention and find out other key information about the convention. We'll also be sharing a link to the Linked Learning in Motion infographic. It's an interactive online infographic created by the James Irvine Foundation, which is a really fantastic resource looking at the breadth and the history of the linked learning field and where it stands today. We will also include a request that you participate in a post-webinar survey, and we'll hope you'll take a couple of minutes to give us your feedback on this session so we can keep providing high-quality peer learning opportunities to you. And then we'll also include a link to the report itself, what it takes to create linked learning. It will be released to everyone in the linked learning field following this webinar, but we really invite you to share it with your teams and other strategic partners anytime now that it is available to all. So once again, thank you so much for attending and participating. This concludes our webinar. We hope you all have a good afternoon.